Hello and welcome to another episode of Liverpool Latest. My name is Matt. Thanks for joining me today. As always, I appreciate you being here. Be sure to leave a like or comment your thoughts down below if you have the ability to do so on your preferred platform. Most importantly, subscribe and follow the show. I've been seeing that the performance on videos as well as subscribers are going up a little bit. So if you're new to the channel, I highly implore you to subscribe. If you love Liverpool like I do, this is probably the best place to get a different insight as to everybody's view on the team. So I appreciate you joining me on the journey. First and foremost, let's get right into it. Bradley Barcola is a name I have mentioned quite a bit here on the channel in recent months. Maybe not as often recently, but he has certainly been a name I have brought up on occasion. It seems as though he is emerging or continuing to emerge as a Liverpool transfer target. Obviously, with Mo Salah only having a few games left of this season, probably less as far as playing goes, considering the injury he has. Um, we have to prepare for life before after he's gone. And some say, and some report, that Bradley Barcola might just be the guy to do it. It seems as though because Liverpool are assessing attacking replacements, Barcola has been included on the short list of wingers that are options after Salah leaves. But here is the situation. PSG, because they'll fuck with us at every turn in this case, it seems. They're also, having contract talks with Barcola themselves. The implication of that could mean that if PSG wants to secure a long-term future, they could definitely block any sort of transfer interest into Barcola because, well, he's one of their guys. The advantage, quote unquote, we have in all of this, from articles I have read, suggests that it seems as though the timing before PSG fully commits to any sort of renewal of Barcola's contract could actually play more into our favor than meets the eye. So here's the deal, though. I want to take someone away from PSG would be an absolute, that would be a plus, right? It's not going to come without a cost. Some players I have seen talked about are saying that they'll cost, I don't know, 50, 80, sometimes 100, depending on who we're talking about being in place here. I don't really know if we're willing to spend that much money this season again. I mean, for a handful of players, we spent a lot of money, almost 500 million in trying to get players on this team, to what was a result of a very mediocre, not as impressive as we had hoped season, right? I would want Barcola as much as the next guy, but I know damn well PSG is going to make us pay an absolutely astronomical fee for him. So, while the advantage that we might have is conditional, it's not necessarily the most concrete. So this is going to be a very high cost option for us. Luckily, we have other players that we have been looking at in the other leagues. So Barcola is not necessarily the end all be all. At some point, though, Liverpool have to make a decision. They got to get somebody. Whether or not they get Barcola, whether or not they get Olise, whether or not they get Diamande, has yet to be known. But the fact of the matter is there has to be some action going on right now. And we have to see if they are willing to spend, at some point, a lot of money to get what they need to secure the future of the club for the foreseeable future. A couple of other names I have been seeing, of course, have been Michael Olise. I think that goes without saying that Olise is kind of in and out, depending on where rumors go. Some days he's linked very heavily. Other days it's been reported that Bayern Munich wants nothing to do with the idea of selling him. that would not be a shock to anybody, frankly. But it seems as though that there are rumors that Elise, or that we are still continuing to push for transferring for Elise. And it's definitely going to come down to who is urging Arne Slot to sign one of these players. It seems as though Jermaine Pennant is one of these people who is urging Arne Slot to sign Elise, particularly due to the profile that I have talked about on the channel ad nauseum. I don't think I need to do it right this minute. But obviously, the results speak for themselves. 47 games, 20 goals, 29 assists. That's a very impressive list of numbers right there by Elise this season. Only seeming to get better as we, wind down towards the season across the entirety of football. So he is being seen as a direct replacement for Mo Salah, but his contract's running until 2029. So, naturally, we have to ask ourselves again, what is the price we are willing to pay to get Elise out of that contract? So, the good news is that there are high quality players that could potentially be on the market for us. The question is, do they want to come to Liverpool? Liverpool is not the only club in the Premier League. We might be one of the few clubs that have the money to spend on these players, but I know other clubs could also potentially be an option. City, United, Chelsea, so on and so forth, are all clubs that could potentially gain players such as this. We are not the only club. So it begs the question, who are we willing to actually make a push for before other clubs do? And that is what I need to ask myself, because we are going to be in a position of a lot of change over the course of the summer. We could be potentially losing several players outside of who we already know is leaving in Robertson and Salah. So we need to find those replacements for them now, or at least we should have been doing so already, considering how much these rumors have been spreading over the course of the last several months since January. We have to ask ourselves, are these players going to be giving us the output we need, especially with the lack of goals we have scored all season if we're focusing on a strict forward front line? But that's also not considering the midfield and where we have to adapt and improve there, or the defense. We're letting too many goals get conceded. So what do we have to do on the defensive side that has to get changed? So I talk about forwards, yes, but forwards are not the only problem we have, which kind of begs to the next point in my next section of this video, where we kind of talk about the likes of multiple targets across multiple different positions on the field. Eli Jr. Krupi has been another player I have talked about quite a bit. As it stands right now for Bournemouth, he has 11 league goals and apparently scores a goal every 126 minutes. It seems like he is valued at around £80 million. And there has been interest not just from us, but from Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain. Where his role at Liverpool could be like a rotation or a long-term striker option. Certainly driven by the fact that Ekitike is injured at the moment, so picking up Krupi could be a good option for us. Again, it's a name I've talked about in the past, not so much recently, but because his name is back in the rumor mill again, I have no choice but to talk about it. I mean, this is a big potential signing that we could make, that we could steal from Bournemouth if Bournemouth doesn't want to offer him any sort of contract or any sort of continuation of his contract in the near future. Another defensive target from Inter Milan is Alessandro Bastoni, whose valuation has actually dropped. Whether that is a good thing or a bad thing, I don't really know. Does it mean that his quality is not there, or is it just the fact that he's not as high as maybe Milan wants to get for him? So apparently that's gone from £60 million to 40 million, and 20 million is a very steep decline, if you ask me, if the ways of numbers. So Liverpool could try and hijack a deal there, and we can see what happens, especially considering that Van Dijk is nearing the end of his contract, or what could be his final contract of his Liverpool career. There's still no confirmation on what's going on with Konate, and Jeremy Jacquet will be arriving very soon once he heals from his shoulder injury. But perhaps the marquee target, which is probably the most unlikely, if I'm being honest. I talked about Barcola earlier. Let's also talk about, God, forgive me if I butcher this name, Kavisha Kvaratskhelia. Oh God, that is terrible. Forgive me so much. This has got to be like some sort of Russian, Ukrainian, Eastern European. I'm doing my ancestors very poorly right now. Please forgive me. But he currently also plays on PSG. I think has actually scored a goal or two against us in the Champions League. So, or at least has had some role against us in the Champions League. So he is someone that has been talked about a little bit here and there as well. Of course, he has impressed against us in the Champions League. He's not involved in the World Cup, so a potential deal could come sooner rather than later. And of course, the rationale behind this is, of course, the idea of Salah leaving. And of course, Luis Diaz, who's already been gone and we have not properly replaced. So, as far as the analysis of these three names goes, there is some sort of, they're trying to exploit World Cup disruption because it seems like some of these players may not be World Cup qualified. So why not pick them up sooner rather than later? Early signings could lead to better integration within the team by the time the season starts. Clear as day, given some of the names I've talked about between, again, I can't even say his name, but we'll call him K for lack of better terms, and Krupi. Great strikers and elite wingers. It's a good deal, I think that's an option that we can go for. And as far as the defense, Bastoni, I don't know, man. That devaluation of money kind of shocks me a little bit. Why has it dropped down so significantly as opposed to what it was originally billed as, or what was rumored to be billed as? He's also been linked with Barcelona, so I wouldn't necessarily be too upset if we miss out on the likes of him. But, again, as the articles I have read suggest, there could still be a way for Liverpool to hijack a deal for that particular player. So, all in all, today's video has been shaping up to be a lot of future transfer talk, potential outside of what could be the result, but I at least want to put it in your head that this could be the route that the team could go. I, for one, support a few of these potential moves that we could make. Granted, I don't think any of them are actually, I don't think a lot of them will happen. I still think Olise has no shot. It's very much a fairy tale, as I put in the title of my section. A fairy tale transfer. I'm not sold at all that we are going to pick him up anytime soon. I think Krupi could be a good option. I would like to see him part of the team. It's not a shock to me that Liverpool will buy from a smaller club and make them into something elite. It's happened with other players in the past. The one I can most recently think of is Diogo Jota, he came from Wolves. So it's an idea for sure. But probably one of the bigger pieces of news I have seen all week, or at least within the last couple of days, has been the Al Hilal deal agreement claim that Richard Hughes will sign on with the team and leave Liverpool. Because again, these links continue regardless of whether or not there's been any confirmation or concrete evidence of them. The new claim via Italian sources say that a deal is reportedly agreed upon and an announcement could be imminent as soon as probably the end of the season. The source context linked to comments from Simone Inzaghi, who is the Al Hilal head coach. So there is an uncertainty over the timing of everything. Some say it'll be immediately, some say it'll be after the season. Needless to say, it could happen very, very soon this year. That said, there's also been conflicting reports, naturally, because FSG, who is the ownership of Liverpool Football Club, want him to stay. Apparently, approach from Al Hilal was reportedly rejected, according to FSG and their sources there. But there has been ongoing speculation, including a potential 3-year deal and an unusual setup based in the UK, being Hughes, and traveling as needed to Saudi Arabia to handle team issues. I am not going to lie to you. I would not be upset if Richard Hughes left the team. If I'm being wholeheartedly honest with you, I would not be upset in the slightest bit. I feel like because of Richard Hughes, we have had some very good success with signings, but we've also had some bad success. Probably the most recent or the most notable of that poor result, I should say, not success, is Arne Slot. And the fact that leadership within FSG and Liverpool decide that Slot is still going to be the guy that they publicly back, despite the fact of the poor results we have had throughout the course of the season. And it's not just Slot that kind of falls into that hierarchy. Michael Edwards, too. So all of them are contracted until 2027. So if it's reported that right now Hughes and Edwards could be leaving, or in this case more so Hughes, we don't really know how it's going to potentially impact us. And it could be negative. You know, some people make it out like it could be the best thing ever for the club. In reality, it could very much be the opposite. We won't know that until it happens. But what I would like to see is some sort of stability. I'm not saying Hughes has to stay, but I need some sort of stability in the sense that if Hughes was to leave, the club has someone to take that spot who is a very rational person in that spot that Hughes is in sporting director position. So, or in this case, I guess I would consider him like a GM of sorts. But yeah, all in all of this is very iffy. There's no concrete information. It's very contradictory. One day I hear one thing, another thing I hear another. And I think fans in Liverpool, especially that I see online, very much try to sop it all up and say, this is the best thing that could possibly happen. Fuck Richard Hughes. Get him out of the club. Blah, blah, blah. And I don't think that they actually realized of what the implications of him leaving could be. Because let's be honest, all of the transfer talk I have been talking about, and this is not to defend Richard Hughes, but this could be a reality of the situation. All of the transfer talk I have discussed, more or less, to some degree, also goes through Richard Hughes and who he's trying to scout for the team, right? If he leaves the team, where does that go with the talks of players that we are trying to actively sign? Do those contracts still go through? Do those deals still go through? Do those players no longer find interest because now they are not dealing with the same person and maybe what was promised might not be guaranteed? Who knows? All I can say is there is a lot of uncertainty with Hughes staying or leaving due to Saudi interest. And I would like to know an answer sooner rather than later, because I hate speculation. I hate talking about speculation on the show. It's fun sometimes, but in this case, when it leads to the problem of, stability in my club, I mean, it's going to be, I would like to have some sort of concrete information here of what's going on, because this is going to affect the team for years, practically. It could potentially affect the team for the next few years. So that is my Liverpool latest today. I appreciate the fact that you guys stay and listen to me spew all what I need to talk about over the course of about 15 to 20 minutes. So thanks for checking this out. I appreciate you. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment your thoughts down below. I do read them. Whether or not you disagree with me is up to you. But I do read them, and I do take criticism as fairly as I can. Most importantly, if you do enjoy the video and you want to see more, subscribe to the channel, share it with your fellow Liverpool friends, and I would like to know what they think about the product I'm trying to put out here and give them a much different perspective from somebody across the pond. So, thanks for joining me. Know that when you do join the Liverpool latest family, know that you never walk alone. Until then, I will see you guys on the next one.